Instead of, like how Craig said, pull your pants up, man, tighten up. The police around the corner. They said that the lady at the bus stop like this with her purse tight, you know what I'm saying? Not even looking at them. They over there cussing and fussing. And when we was growing up, that was a no-no. You cut cuss. Yeah. You only got to know this lady, cuss, and she gonna check you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a kid, and that's you being disrespectful. But now the adults today, the roles they real timid. You know what I mean?
Hello, everyone. This is Netta coming to you today to have a discussion about youth in crisis. This is another flea living in prison. And today I have my distinguished panel. We have Phyllis, Raymond, and Craig who are going to join the discussion today. The first question is about how would you describe what you believe is the cause for youth behavior today? And we're going to start with Phyllis.
I'm not going to blame it all on the parents, but lack of parenting. I give 80% to lack of parenting and 20% to other influences.
For me personally, I believe that it takes a village to raise a kid. So I wouldn't necessarily, as Phyllis said, also I wouldn't put it solely on the parents, and I would put it on the community more so than the parents. And because, if we go back to, when we was raised, it was, it wasn't just the mother's job or the parents' job, to, discipline the kid. It was your job, and everybody's job in the community, you know what I mean? Because if you sing that child out of line, you would take care of that right then and there before it even got to the mother. Even if it did get to the parents, you know what I'm saying? So I say it's the community.
And you are correct. Because I don't know how Netta is, but I know that being a boomer, you're absolutely correct. If they saw me, if Miss Ethel saw me before Lorraine got home from work, it was dealt with.
I would like to piggyback, but I think the main thing, because it's different levels, is love, lack of love. Like, we all know that there's agape, there's a filial, and there's erotic. And these kids and adults haven't had nobody to hug them, haven't had nobody to really sit down and talk morals, principles, and gratitude. Because right now, we're in a society where don't nobody care. If I ask each and every one of y'all how many times you seen a young dude, we call them YNs, but a young kid, and just gave him a hug. I ain't giving no hug. When I see kids, I pull your pants up. Police gonna get you. All right, on. You know what I'm saying? And it's just it's the vibrant of it, because relationships break up and disseminate because of lack of love or the communication of love. So I think once that love kicks back in, because you gotta remember, most of us was really raised by our grandparents, especially one whole household. The grandparents made it because they showed love. They stayed together. You can't find young kids that can say, my mother and father still together. It used to be you go uptown, I'm from D.C., you go uptown, right? Everybody uptown had a mother and father or grandparent. Southeast, one whole household. You had some people that had a mother and father, but it was so dysfunctional, why stay?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. I disagree on that statement about in Southeast, because that was quite the opposite when I was raised in the 60s and 70s. No, sir.
Okay, so
we had both parents, and men from that generation, most of the men from that generation stayed, from what I saw, stayed with their families.
We had love, but a lot of people were lacking that structure of love, that mother and father. But most of us that came up in the 70s, 80s, guess what happened? We got sent to our grandparents.
Define what you mean as love.
Love is when you see a person, how you doing? Like I go into that's agape love. I go into the Giants or the Safeways or good morning. People just walk on. That's no love.
Right. So it's an absence of something.
Exactly.
Right? And so from listening to you all, it's not just one thing.
I said it's different levels of love.
But it's also different levels of division.
Exactly.
It's different levels of brokenness. So if we're discussing what causes the behavior, it's not just one thing. It's a multiple of things. It's a lack of community. It's a lack of love. It's a lack of involvement. And so how do you...
lack of structure.
A lack of structure. So how do you bring completion where the brokenness is, right? And so what will be a meaningful approach to invoke change in those areas that are broken?
I try to do it one kid at a time.
But how do you invoke that change with that child? You have a child.
I listen. First of all, I listen.
Okay.
My baby is 26. She said something to me one day that blew my mind. You want me to act 58. I am 19. She said, you don't listen. I had to take a step back, and she was telling the God's honest truth. Because at the time I was 58, she was 19. I wanted her to process what I was saying from where I was standing at. 19 daggone years old. So, to answer your question, I listen to these kids when I get them. Because being at CFSA, I tell them when they meet Miss Phyllis, they ain't having a good day. And for a lot of it, Craig, I will say a lot of love, depending on how you define love. A lot of love, affection. But to me, love is support, discipline, being present. All that to me encompasses love, not just one element of it. If that making sense to y'all?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I think that we need to stop from the standpoint of not being scared of the youth. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, I had conversations with a lot of people, and the first thing they say is, man, I ain't messing with them young guys. They crazy. You know what I'm saying?
So you get a negative connotation.
And so they got off the break, you got a negative connotation about them, and it's like you're not even giving them a chance off the. You don't know. You know what I mean? You're not giving them a chance off the break. So how can you find a solution to a problem when in your mind you already got a negative outlook
Got a bias
off the rip?
already.
You know what I'm saying? So the first thing I would say is, like, you gotta get this negative connotation out of your head and say, you know what? I'm gonna show them some love.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna show them some love. I'm gonna talk to them, and I'm gonna try to give them a sense of direction. Because how can you get somewhere and you don't know how to get there? You see what I'm saying? And through experience, right? Through experience, that's the only way that we are capable of doing the things that we do. We don't just wake up in the morning or get to 42 years old and say, I'm gonna go out to Clinton and they got a podcast out Clinton that I gotta go to. How you gonna get here if you don't know the directions?
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're gonna put it in your ways, or you're gonna call Netta or Phyllis or Craig and say how I get there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, but if I'm trying to be a know-it-all, I'm eventually crash.
Yeah.
I'm eventually do something that's, out of the scope of what, where I'm trying to, the place that I'm trying to reach. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have a sense of direction. Since I came home from prison, I like to observe, you know what I'm saying? Because prison life and society life is two different lives. You see what I'm saying? So, and when I came into society, a lot of people said things that was like, down that I've been out a while, it was just like, nah, I don't say it that way. You see what I'm saying? Because I had a chance to sit back and see it for myself. So, and why I'm saying this is because a lot of people say, man, they crazy. Them youngins crazy. Don't mess with them. Stay away from them. X, Y, and Z, this, that, and the third, right? And you guys got to realize, you know what I'm saying, why I'm about to say what I'm about to say. And this is why. When I went to jail, I was 17 and a half, 18 years old. I was a kid. You see what I'm saying? So I grew up in prison. So as I'm growing up in prison, yeah, I'm getting the experience, the maturity as an adult, far as from reading, writing, older people that had experience, they telling me things and I'm learning like that, right? But my experiences was as a kid. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when I came back into society, I was able to relate to them more so because I'm talking about my experiences. Now, I know now because I've trained myself to be able to find that sense of direction and be able to say, okay, as an adult, this is what you do. You got to get your social security card. You got to,
Right.
get your birth certificate. You got to pay bills. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning responsibility from you guys. You know what I'm saying? I haven't experienced it yet, but now, you know what I'm saying? I'm learning. So when I came, I was able to relate to them. You see what they were saying? And my thing is like this now with the maturity that I got, it's like, nah, you don't really want to do it like that. You know, I wasn't afraid. I'm not afraid to, interact with them. And a lot of people is really, really, and you know this because you work,
Yes.
you know this. They really, because they get real disrespectful.
Yes.
This is why they don't respect the adults, right? Because they have this perception of, oh, you ain't do nothing for me. You ain't put that pack in my hand. You ain't because once again, you turn a blind eye to them. You instead of like how Craig said, pull your pants up, man, tighten up. The police around the corner. They said that the lady at the bus stop like this with her purse tight. You know what I'm saying? Not even looking at them. They over there cussing and fussing. And when we was growing up, that was a no.
Yes.
You cuss.
Yeah.
You only got to know this lady, cuss,
Yeah.
and she gonna check you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a kid, and that's you being disrespectful. But now the adults today, the roles they real timid. You know what I mean? And you can't be timid with them. You gotta let them know. You know what I mean? And they thinking like if they 19, right? Their big homies is 21. When I was 19, my big homie wasn't 21. Because a 19 and a 21-year-old don't have, their experiences is the same.
Yeah.
But he only saying this because he gave him a couple of bags of weed to sell. You see what I'm saying? You see the difference?
Yes.
But that vacuum, right? That vacuum where the adults, the real big homies, supposed to have been involved with him at, it's absent. They scared to deal with him because in their head they like, nah, they crazy.
People always go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13 as the love chapter, right? But the real love chapter is John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, right? But if you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, it said what love is. That's what love does. It's not what love is. Love is enduring. Love is long-suffering. Everything that everybody just said about these kids, because one thing about love, there's different levels. For instance, some babies are love babies because when you made them, you was in love with that person. Some babies are accident, but God is the creator of babies. So when you give a person love, they got something to fight for. They got something to look forward for. The churches need to play a role. Everybody need to come together as a community is not just where you live at. A community could be a mother, father, grandparent, neighbor. As we grew up in the 70s and 80s, you can go knock on the door and ask for some sugar. Ask for some bread. Can't do that now. Because people like, what you at my door for? They don't even want to open the door because of what you just said, fear. But what do we learn from the word? Love covers fear. Even in jail, when I was in jail, I was in the DC system, the feds, and the Maryland system. These kids were joining gangs because they don't have love. They thought that's what's love. Again, they're kids. They don't know what love is. So even in a relationship, these girls are having babies at a young age because they first, I love him. Now he rolled out. They think that's what love is. How many of us at this table right now, and I got on Instagram and was talking about, sit down and have dinner with your child or your family at a certain time every day of the week? That's what our grandparents done. I don't care where your grandfather was at. I gotta get home. Betty Ann cooked dinner, and everybody better be here. It wasn't no, I gotta do this. I'm working overtime. I'm doing none of that was in effect back in the 80s and 70s. You got home because dinner was ready. There's no structure, but love has structure. Love have no fear. Love have everlasting. You know what I mean? So the point I'm making is, if we start, even if us as a group, I challenge everybody, just hug anybody today, especially a young kid, and watch what you get.
Right.
They're gonna ask your name. What you doing that for? Don't worry about it. That's just like when we give our food at Flip. When we have our food drive, people come, they ride, thank you so much. What's the name of this? Because some people go, oh, they try and double back. It don't matter, because if you giving out love, God gonna bless you. It's called reciprocity. You know, people like reciprocity and what the root word of reciprocity? Reciprocate. But it's not the same. I was just having a debate with somebody. Reciprocate is me and you. Reciprocity is a community.
Right.
Because if I do something for you, somebody somewhere else gonna come back and do something for me. But reciprocate is me and you looking, I got you. Now I got you. You did that for me, I got you. That's tit for tat for real. So I want us to take away from this session here reciprocity. Include that love. If you include love with anything you do, God, it says God so loved the world that he what?
He gave his only begotten son.
You
So that
know
we
what I'm
will
saying?
have everlasting life.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's basic instruction before leaving earth. And I don't like to get in the word because sometimes you get too deep and people like, he ain't really. No, I'm a realist.
Okay.
Just, you know what I mean?
Well,
so if you look
here's
at
the thing. Here's the thing about the word. The truth can stand on its own. So as long as we're given truth, and to Raymond's point, we're not humble enough, right? The cheat code to all of this is the humility in it, right? If Jesus is going to wash somebody else's feet, why aren't we washing the feet of our youth? Why aren't we, because the question is not whether or not it's bad parenting. The question is whether or not we even understood that we were parents in the first place.
right.
Right? And so a lot of us are having children. A lot of us are becoming mothers and fathers, but there is a disconnect in the way in which we're structuring our family unit, right? The division is there. It's prevalent. And as a result of the choices that we're making, the sins of the father is handed down.
It's funny that you say that because I don't talk to my father to this day. He's still living, right? Because when my grandmother passed, they treated her that I felt like they didn't supposed to. So I'm saying that to say, he used to say something to me, man, they don't give you a book on how to be a parent. I said, you right. But guess what? They say nothing about not loving me.
Right. But they did give us a book. The book is the word of God.
Exactly.
The book is the word of God.
But it's so funny because I used to piggyback. I tell my kid, man, I ain't got no book, but I did the best I can. I said, I love y'all. I said, y'all don't call, y'all don't do certain things, y'all entitled. I said, but I'm gonna stay loving y'all.
But when you go back to the creation of humanity, period, nobody is made out of hate. You know what I'm saying? You and I say this right, unless a woman is I would give it unless a woman is violated. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way that something can be created out of hate. But as the collective whole of humanity, you were made out of love. You were taught the hate as the collective whole. I'm talking about humanity, whether you Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or whatever. Everybody is created in love. You love first, because guess what? No matter how it is, whether you got a foster parent or whether it's your real parent, you're gonna grab that baby and you're gonna smile at that baby. You're gonna rub that baby. You're gonna stop trying to make that baby cry. You know what I'm saying? You don't stop making a baby cry out of hate. Man, baby, shut up. You know what I'm saying? You trying to love it. That's the only way that baby going to stop crying is because it feels the love. It feels that somebody is trying to nourish the baby to stop doing what it's, you know what I'm saying?
So here's a follow-up question to that, though, right? Here's a follow-up question. Then why do we lose that ideology when a child becomes a certain age? So
Because
just like
we
you
stop.
said, I need a hug, right?
Yeah, we
I
a fear.
don't stop wanting love just because I turned 25.
No, but watch this,
Just because
and
I'm
that's why
17.
we all agreeing on what I said. The piggyback. The answer is love, but because of fear, false experiences appearing real.
I'm telling you, it's the
When you
fear.
see a child, like right now, I got my hoodie on. Everybody looked at the first thing they said, "Oh, he a thug." You know what I'm saying? I'm a businessman. I put glasses on. You know how they say the first appearance is your last? I wear glasses. I don't even wear glasses. I wear glasses because I want everybody to look at me on a business level.
The gentrification, you know what I'm saying, has came about through all the ghettos of America. You know what I mean? We come from the ghetto. You know what I mean? Whether you was uptown, southeast, northeast, we come from the ghetto. You see what I'm saying? The ghetto was where all the love was at. You know what I'm saying? That's where. So now we can't forget that the gentrification has came into play, right? And all these politics is going on. Whereas it's like, okay, cool. I'm about to touch on something. All of us remember Burry, Mayor Marion Burry, DC.
Mayor for life.
Mayor for life,
Mayor
right?
for life.
So
He gave my first summer job.
that's where I'm going at.
Yeah.
So we was at the solutions, right? We was at the solutions now, right?
Yes.
All right, so how can you tell Joe Rock to get off the corner, right? He been right here selling dope for however long. That's all he know how to do, right? But now you telling him, man, get off the corner, don't sell dope no more, don't do this, don't do that, right? But you're not giving him another option.
Right.
How do you change that trajectory?
You're not giving them another option. So now it comes back to the politics, the community. You see what I'm saying? So when you come with the negative politics of I'm cutting the budget for this, I'm doing this, I'm putting this money over here. You put money on bike lanes and messing up the fabric of the streets when you could have just left all that alone and, oh, we got a problem? And we could have, rec centers. Look, Parkview Rec, born and raised. That's all I knew. Every day after school, whether I was doing right or wrong, I'm going to the rec. I got to show. If I ain't have a meal, then I can go to the rec and go in there and get a meal from the rec. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is like this. Kids don't even go to the recs no more because now the money's being pulled away from the recreation center, the building.